Welcome to the Build Better Blueprint, the podcast where we discuss the foundations of real estate, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. Join Christian Cardamone as he shares insights, strategies, and stories that will empower you to level up your business, your lifestyle, and your impact. Let's build a better blueprint for success, starting now.
Hey, this is Christian Cardamone. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Build Better Blueprint. Today, folks, I've got a real treat for you. I've got Kat Halushka. Kat is a business strategist and a visibility expert who's helped generate over $7 million in coaching program sales from the stage. Her framework has supported over 1,000 entrepreneurs in launching profitable businesses and replacing their job income. Kat's spoken on over 500 stages around the world, both virtual and in person, sharing her insights on business growth, marketing, and the power of using your voice to make a profitable impact. Kat brings energy, clarity, and results to every stage she steps on. Her workshops aren't just motivational, they're tactical, transformational, and designed for immediate action. Whether you're looking to inspire, educate, or equip your audience to grow their business, Kat delivers with impact. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Miss Kat Halushka. How are you, Kat?
I'm great. Thanks, Christian. I'm super excited to do this podcast. And, I couldn't be more grateful to be invited to share more of what it is that helped me grow my business.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we're stoked to have you. And I'm really excited to introduce you to my audience because we were just talking offline. I'm really into entrepreneurship, self-development, personal growth. And I think it's so important to have tools to do that because it's not just something, you read a book. You have to have people help you along the way in this journey to help you really take giant steps. And so I think that you'll have a lot to offer. And I'm excited to hear kind of your practical application to this industry because I was doing a lot of research of you online and you've made like a big impact. So I feel honored to have you. And I was wondering if you could just kind of start off and tell us a little bit about your journey, where you started, what led you here. And obviously you're up in Canada now and it's chilly up there. We were talking offline. I didn't want to rub it in. It's like 85 and sunny here today, but tell us what got you up there and a little bit about you, Kat.
I was actually raised in Belarus, so all the way on the other side of the world. And my parents decided to immigrate for, what they call a dream. And they just wanted a better life for us. The thing that I think they didn't realize is how difficult it's actually going to be to adapt. And never mind learn a whole new language and then a new culture. And so when we immigrated to Canada, one of the things that I knew for sure is I needed some security and stability. And so I think it's pretty standard. My family is no different than majority of the families out there, that the for sure path for growth is you go get a really good corporate job and you stay there for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then hopefully you retire and you have a really good retirement.
That's the hope, right?
Yeah. And, about like 4 years in, I realized that actually wasn't my for sure thing. And it wasn't something that I wanted to do. And it definitely wasn't the dream. So I ended up quitting my corporate job with no plan of action, no idea what I'm going to do. The only thing that I knew is I have skills. I can apply my skills and I can probably sell them to someone. Not sure who yet, but someone. And so I started my own business as a solopreneur back then, and I was making websites and doing marketing for people. And I just remember that the really first business advice that I got was from this business coach. And he told me, you got to go network. And then at networking events, you will set up coffee dates. And then on coffee dates, you're going to talk about what you do. And that's how you get clients. Well, me being a really good student, my mother taught me well.
Mm-hmm.
I went to 2 to 3 networking events a week. And I would set up coffee dates, a lot of them. I thought I was smart. I would set them up all on Friday, back to back to back to back in the same location, same table, same coffee shop.
Just turn them and
people
burn them.
would just rotate.
Dating. Yeah.
And very quickly, I hit this burnout point of coffee addiction. I gained over 50 pounds from all those coffee meetings and food and drinks. And really, the truth is, I did get clients. It works. Relationships always work. You and I both know. Building relationships is always going to grow your business. And it just wasn't fast enough. It was one of those things where it's all the math game, right? So there's only so many coffee dates that you can have. And then you have 10, 20, 30, for some even longer, and you get one client. Is it really worth it? Or did you just invest so much time into acquiring the client that now you're actually putting money out of your own pocket?
Yeah, absolutely.
And for me, the turning point was really, I went to an event where someone invited me to speak on the stage just for 10 minutes, like a quick presentation, just sharing what marketing is, what are the trends. And I just still remember I finished my presentation and I went to just stand in the back of the room because I was buzzing. Like I was so nervous. I almost cried on like right when I came out. And I was just coming down and I had two people come up to me and straight up saying, "Hey, I want to work with you. Like, how do I sign up?" And
So
the
you
huge light bulb went off. I was like, what? I've been having hundreds, and I mean hundreds, truly. I have a spreadsheet to prove it, of coffee dates. And there I did a 10-minute talk and got two clients. And so ever since then, things just started falling into place. That for me, yes, I could continue building relationships, but perhaps a faster way to build a business would be simply being the person in front of the room and speaking to people in the room so I can have that introduction of, myself and what it is that I have to offer to everybody, and then they can filter themselves off.
That's genius, though. I mean, basically, because you said it a minute ago, like it is a numbers game, right? So
Mhm.
you compress time by instead of just doing 1-to-1, you did 1-to-200, one, or even like 1-to-20 or 1-to-50. And then you also arrive with this like kind of built-in established credibility on some level, right? Because they came and you're on the stage that they attended the event for. So it's a great, I'm glad that you like recognize that and you got like an immediate like buzz hit off that too. And that was your turning point, it sounds like.
Absolutely. And I have done by now hundreds of stages in completely different events and venues and countries and cities and audiences. And the one thing that I pretty consistently see is most of the people are just really scared of public speaking. And I think there's actually like a statistic somewhere that majority of the people are actually more scared to do public speaking than die. And in reality, with the right tools, right, the right strategies, the right techniques, you can really overcome that quickly. But once you realize how well that works, it becomes almost addicting, where you just can't go back. Like I never went back to doing coffee dates. I never went back to doing the sales calls and cold calls and all of those things, the amplification. And like you said, collapsing the timeline, right? When you can collapse the timeline of how fast you can grow your business, why not? Why not just go for it? You're doing it right now with the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, and I see that, and I've, even though this is still a young podcast, I've already had, based on the amount of energy put into it, like almost like an exponential return on it from contacts, leads, client. Like it's like the secret sauce, the superpower. It's just like on the highway, it's like the service road alongside the main highway. You can just run wide open, like as fast as you want to. Yeah, I just think that's so cool. I wish I had kind of jumped on this a little sooner. So I'm curious then, if you turn back the clock, you were selling marketing back then and computer services. So at what point did you transition this into the line of work that you're in now?
Yeah, that was one of the really hard lessons that I had to learn for myself is there definitely, when it comes to having a marketing agency, it is a very different business model and a type of service. I had very, very little knowledge and training and skill set when it came to team building. And so I was doing all of it myself. So pretty quickly, I burnt out and still didn't hit the goals that I had for myself. So I knew that something has to change. I just didn't know what it is yet because that was my first business. I didn't know what I didn't know. I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs, when you're beginning, you can really relate to it. You're starting because you're really passionate about that one thing. And very quickly you're like, oh, I'm also a bookkeeper and I'm also a marketer. Oh, I'm also have to create content. Oh, and I got to be the person that's the face of the business. And I got to write my blog posts. And there's a 50 million things that you have to do. They never stop that are outside of that core thing you're actually passionate about.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
like,
that was really a dream killer right there, is learning
absolutely.
that, oh, there's a lot of things.
Because the thing that you wanted to do is almost like the last thing you actually have time to do because of all,
Exactly.
you're the janitor at the office. It's like, yeah, so I can totally like empathize with that. And that's why I think, we connected through Dan Martell's community, because that's what turned me on to his content and his book, because I had to figure out how to carve out or dedicate this time and get my time back so that I can focus on, my main goal and trajectory in my, quote, superpower, if I have one, in my business, what like fills my cup and keeps me going. So what was the turning point for you to cross over that bridge?
I really had to sit down and be honest with myself on whether I still want to do it. And That it was a very difficult decision, but at that time I decided that that business is just not for me at the level of the business owner and a human that I am. Christian, you're very familiar with that from just us being in the same circles, but your business can only grow as much as you grow. And at that point, the growth for me just wasn't there. So I had to transition into, I actually sold that business. Let's just say I had mentors in the community, just enough for someone to give me that advice, which was very, very generous of them. And I will never forget that. The power of the community, the power of having a mentor, the power of having a person who can look into your business from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sold that business and I had to start from scratch. And I ended up taking a year off and just traveling and going to different events and getting re-inspired. Because, like I said, that was a dream killer, to really step away from my passion and have to do all the other things but. And so I had to reignite that spark within me to actually get inspired to start something different.
I love
And that's
that.
when I realized that the one thing that was growing my business is the one thing that I should be teaching people. It's sharing exactly what I've done, sharing exactly what got me to the first 100K, what got me through the first million, what got me over that, sharing the exact strategy because I knew it so well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they say you're like best suited to be to help the person that you used to be, right? And if you were this like struggling entrepreneur, but you still by all means were successful. I mean, you started a business, grew it, developed it, and exited it successfully. So yeah, so you've got the diploma now, and you can show folks, the roadmap on how to do this. So that's amazing. And I like people to listen to this and say, like, Kat has built like a huge business. What if I want to do something like that? How could I do that? And like, is that something that I'm capable of, or what would be the first steps I would take? So once you have this like realization and to get this clarity, did you have a blueprint or a map or like a strategy on how you were going to now tell people how to do this?
For sure. And the one thing that I really want to share when it comes to the blueprint is I really kind of divided into 3 different parts, right? The first part is you just got to start speaking. And it doesn't matter if you speak on other people's stages and get invited or not. Maybe you go apply, right? Or you start your own. And this is something that really supported me, is understanding that I can be the creator of my own reality and I can be the creator of my own stage. Like I said, Christian, I came here from Belarus, didn't know English. I had huge accent. People kind of understood me. I'd say 50% of the time. I feel like people still understand me only 80% of the time, getting closer, right? And so for me, it was the matter of speaking and not speaking, because people wouldn't invite me to the stages. They couldn't understand me. Why would they even invite me to speak on their stage? I didn't have a clear message yet when I was beginning. So why would anybody have me there? So when I would apply, often I would get declined, and eventually it very much discouraged me from applying at all.
Mm-hmm.
Until I just decided, you know what, screw it. I'm going to take it in my own hands. And I just started my own events and my own organization. And I just filled it up. It went from having 2 people in the room to having over 300 people in the room. And it became one of the biggest credibility pieces in my business to skyrocket it. Is instead of me introducing myself as an owner of my business, I would introduce myself as an owner of that organization. And people instantly saw the value in it. All of a sudden, other people who declined me to be on their stage before were reaching out to me and were willing to even pay to be on mine. So make sure you're speaking. No excuses. If nobody's inviting you, that's okay. You can always start your own stage. The second part is you got to build the systems that scale. And when I say that is, like I said, I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize just how much comes with business and how many different tasks. And so you really want to hone in how you can systemize some of the things that you're doing so that you can create a business that aligns with your lifestyle. If the goal is for you to work only 4 hours a day, maybe only once a week, whatever it is, and figure out how you can systemize it. I don't think anybody starts a business to work, 40 hours a week. Never mind, some people work 100 hours a week like I was. So systems. And the third part is just own your weird. Like, own your personality, be yourself. You can't be someone else, so why even try? I see so many people try to copy and be someone else. And Dan Martell is a great example how many copycats are out there trying to do exactly what he's doing, but it's not working because it's not them. So really invest into developing yourself and growing yourself and getting to know yourself so you can show up authentically and actually comfortably Just be who you are.
That's great advice. And I think maybe it's practical, it's strategic, but the last one possibly could be the hardest one, right? Because you've
Absolutely.
kind of got to like get to know yourself to a point, understand yourself, and not take yourself so seriously. And then when you show up as yourself, you're not acting, you don't have to work and build another muscle to put on the, okay, now I'm the podcast host, or okay, now I'm the real estate broker, or now I'm the executive coach or the market. It's just like that's who you are all the time. So that's
Exactly.
the one that you're right. That's the magic right there. If you can figure out how to do that, then the rest is just systems, people. And I think the first one maybe the most though is because what you were trying to get wasn't there, or you were not getting, no one was answering, so you just like, screw it, I just made my own. That's bold, like especially for someone who came here who was kind of told just get a job and do that until the end. You clearly had like a miswiring somewhere in a good way, like an entrepreneurial seed in there that was sprouting for sure.
When I share this story, I often tell people is with immigration, some people just don't understand when your parents uplift their whole family and move somewhere completely different country, different jobs, different beginnings from scratch, no finances. You're trying to figure everything out. Failure becomes not an option because in my mind, if I fail them too.
Yeah.
They have given up their life to get us here. I'm going to do everything that I can and can't to continue going.
That's awesome. I was trying to think of a way to kind of like empathize with this because I moved from New York down to North Carolina, but totally different situation.
I'm sure there's differences in culture too, though. I've been
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a separate animal, but by no means is there any real correlation to the amount of, what you guys did versus what we did. But on some level, maybe on paper, yeah, taking that big step and then wanting to support that decision once it's been made, it's something that I hear, and I think, maybe that's what just gave you a burn the boats mentality of like, hey, I'm here, let's do it, right?
might as well.
Tell me about a time, you're up and running. You've created this new world and universe that you are operating in, and it's about you, and you've owned your weird. Have you had any big like a setback or something where you're like, or a client or a situation where it made you kind of rethink this? Maybe it wasn't going to go to plan.
Ooh, ultra specific. I mean, I've hosted events that I had only one person show up.
What's that like?
And honestly, it's that feeling of disappointment never quite leaves. And it took a lot of personal development and programs and therapy to learn how to reframe it, right? And that's the thing is, at the end of the day, social media is actually a great example. A lot of people, and my clients are the same, they come to me and they say, my videos are getting only 150 views, 200 views, 250 views, 50 views. Like, it's not that many views. They're not going viral. And I have to always reframe it for them and say, put 150 people in the room. Is it a lot or a little?
100%. I couldn't agree more. It's totally how you look at that, because that's a lot of people. That's 150 people that took the time to listen to you talk about whatever it is you're talking about. You shouldn't devalue that at all. It's just it's what you're comparing it to. And they say like comparison is the thief of joy, right? Because like you said, you saw the value based on the frame that you're looking through. And these people are sitting around boo-hoo because we didn't go viral and you didn't get 1 million people to look at it. But 150 people who are paying attention is worth more than 1 million people that are just scrolling like this through for 1 second and they stop.
Yeah,
right?
for me, it actually took some time to sit down and really reframe what is it that I'm doing, because the disappointment comes from a place of a self-expectation. And so that there was self-expectation of having more people for a reason, right? And a lot of the times, especially in the beginning, right, it's fist and famine, right? You're like, I gotta eat, so I need to put people in the room. I gotta get clients, and I so can relate to that feeling. And shifting myself into the space, the energy, the flow, the thoughts of I gotta change this person's life have shifted so much in how I perceive every single room. And so a lot of the times people invite me to speak somewhere. I have no idea how many people are in the room, nor it matters to me. Only for my team from logistical point of how many things they need to bring. But for me, it doesn't matter. If that room is 3 people, it's going to be the best, most life-changing experience for 3 people. If that room is 300 people, it's going to be the best, most life-changing experience for 300 people. And it's my job to provide that. So I started focusing so much on what it is that I create for people in the room and way less on the self-expectation of what is it that I need to produce, because I don't need to produce anything. I just got to be. And I know when I just am, the results for other people are coming by default. And that's what the authenticity piece, right, drops in. Is if you can be authentically yourself and simply share who you are with the world, you don't have to work for it.
I'm writing notes down while you're talking, even though I'll be able to go back and listen to this because I love your message and it resonates with me because I see it that way. It's like if you go to see, I'm a musician, I play in a band. So if we have a great night and there's, 1,000 people at our show, that would be awesome. And it's like the energy is insane. But if like 100 people show up, it's almost like it's condensed. So you still they came for you and you got to deliver for them. And if you just deliver the same consistently every single time, it enriches the experience for the person who's paying attention, I think. And I just think that's so cool that you take it so seriously and you've like, it's not even, this is just like you said, who you are. So you just show up and deliver every time regardless. And that's, to me, that's a sign of like a true pro who's doing it for the right reasons. So yeah, just hats off to you. Like I said, I'm taking some notes because the more I hear these things, the more they resonate with me. You mentioned a couple times, initially you had a mentor when you did your first business, and then how coaching has helped you through some of these setbacks and stuff like that. Tell me about how important mentorship and coaching is and what kind of impact that's had. I can see the impact just based on this conversation, but was there a moment when you realized that you like needed people to support you, to help build you up and show you what lies ahead?
Constantly. And I mean, community and coaches, mentors have been integral to my success and my growth. And one of the things that I realized faster and faster was every year in business is you just got to pay for support. Ultimately, why spend all this time figuring something out if there's already a person who knows it? And so for me, in the beginning of my business, I used my coaches a lot for the how to. Right now in my business, I use coaching a lot as an inspiration. So I use it as a framework, something to follow, right? Something to belong to, something to participate in. So nowadays I join more of the mastermind structures. So where peers are getting together and they can support each other in different ways. Where in the beginning it was all how to. It was literally just paying people, just teach me how to do this, teach me how to do that. Teach me this thing. And I'm going to forewarn people. That was another big pivotal moment in my business and life is every time you see an ad on Facebook, they're going to tell you that this is the only and one way to build your business. And there's no other way that's going to work. That's the only way. That's all part of marketing, right? And marketing messaging. And it's really tempting. And again, the more you invest in yourself to find out your own authenticity and who you are, the more you will know which way will actually align with that. Mm-hmm. Public speaking is not for everybody, and I understand that. That's totally fine. And there's a difference between being scared of doing something and that not authentically aligning. Right? Those are two very different things. My business partner is an introvert. We have a lot of introverts saying public speaking is really hard for introverts. Actually, it's opposite. For introverts, public speaking is so much easier than going to networking events and having 20 small talk conversations.
Yeah.
Right? You just communicate your message. You don't have to, hey, how's it going? What do you do? Oh, the weather. Like this is the hardest thing for the introverts, right? Is all the small talk. So you have to really identify the strategy that's going to align with your own personality, who you are, and how you want to show up in your life and business. That's the most important thing. And so when it comes to hiring coaches, first, and that's my recommendation to everybody listening, first, hire someone who's going to help you develop yourself and get to know yourself, and then hire someone who's going to help your business.
Awesome. Solid gold, 100%. And then, they say like also you'll never out earn your own self-worth. You've got to get there first to think that you're worthy of making X amount per year or helping change X amount of people's lives or making the impact. If you don't, then you won't be able to cut through the noise, I don't think. So it's really important. Did you align with one single group or one person that really helped you hone in on that? Or was it a combination of just paying attention to a lot of different people?
Honestly, I think it's an experience because at some point in my life, I ended up hiring a coach that totally burned me out and my whole team because their whole system was so complex with so many moving elements that my team was working around the clock and I was working around the clock to make it happen and launch it. And the results weren't any better than what we were already doing. We were just trying to diversify our streams of traffic and where people are coming from. That was such a mistake, to invest so many resources and time and energy and not actually check in with myself and be like, is this still good? Is this still aligned? I almost closed the business because of this.
Wow. So yeah, I mean, I can see it, and that's like the cautionary tale is there's not a magic pill or bullet or program or coach that's gonna like just provide you with their roadmap and it's gonna be the answer, because if it doesn't align with your personality, your core principles, your values, then it could feel forced. It could just, it's not you showing up as your authentic self, and that just doesn't work, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what would you say? I'm just curious because you're an expert in the space. There's one group that I was a part of for a little while, and it wasn't a good fit for me either. Not because of this, what I'm about to say, but for other reasons. They kind of lead into like, communication is the most important skill that you've got to have. And I do agree with that wholeheartedly. One of their pillars was all about like, if you're an introvert, if you're an extrovert, no matter what, you have to build that muscle. You have to get good at communicating. You have to learn and just get uncomfortable and be talking to people. I believe that. I think that's true. But if you're it also is industry specific, because if you want to be the next Tony Robbins, but you are like an introvert, and like there's a difference between speaking to people and overcoming a fear, and then that's not the lane you should even be in just because you saw someone doing it, you wanted to do it. Like, what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, and I talk about that a lot, is in order for you to be a profitable speaker, you don't have to be a perfect speaker. And in the same line of thought is you don't have to be any kind of specific speaker. I don't pretend to be Tony Robbins, nor I desire that. I personally don't have an ambition, desire, energy, want to build rooms of 10,000 people in front of me and take them through a 5-day transformational. I'll leave that to other people who they enjoy doing that, right? I enjoy smaller rooms. I'd rather do like 50, 100 people, and that's great. And I really enjoy it. And I do it workshop conversation style. Same with podcasts. The reason we're here today is my assistant is trained to look for specific types of podcasts. I don't like the whole full production, have to follow checklists. There's specific questions you have to prepare answers for. I want it to be a conversation because those are the podcasts that I listen to. I want to hear from real people who are closer to me than to where they are, right? Because that's another thing is if someone is 30,000 steps ahead of you, they might not even remember what it's like to be in your shoes, right? I want someone closer, but a little bit ahead of me so they can help me overcome the next hurdle. And so I'm very conscious of communication skills are foundation of business life. You have to learn communication skills, and it doesn't have to look in any specific way. Some people love doing reels. Some people love doing in-person events. Some people like podcasts. Some people don't want to do any of it, but they still should be investing into communication skills of some training of some sort, so it can support them with communicating their own message, or in some cases with a spouse.
Yeah. Well, but that gets back to like finding your voice or your true self or like your authentic self. Because once you figure that out, then yeah, like you said, you don't need to be in front of 500 people. You could do it through different mediums and still be just as effective. And if that's your lane, bravo, right?
Absolutely.
So tell us right now what projects or businesses you're working, like what are you focused on right now, your day to day? You're helping people, coaching people to build their businesses, to coach, to lead courses, presentations. Tell us a little bit about that. And like if someone was trying to reach out to you for advice or for hire, what that looks like.
Yeah. So first of all, everybody should follow me on Instagram. It's instagram.com/Kat, K-A-T, Halushka, Halushka. And if you shoot me a word speaker, I will actually send you our workbook for putting together your talks. It's brilliant. It follows our system. It really helps you hone in on how is it that you should be presenting yourself at those events, because there's a lot of really small tweaks that you can make right now to make it convert better. And so that's mainly what I work on. Is our step one is always helping people put together that presentation and that messaging that will sell for them. Because that's the thing is, I know a lot of sales techniques. I've gone through a lot of sales training. I've been the person in the big sales teams, selling coaching services and all of those things. The one thing that it made me understand really quickly is I don't necessarily like using the tools that I've been taught, because some of them are truly manipulative. They are designed to make you do what I want you to do, but that's not who I am. And so knowing that that's not who I am, because I want you to do things because you want to do them. That's a very different energy. And so we have created our profitable signature talk system specifically in a way that attracts people to the message, and then they take the conversion when they're ready. And a lot of the times we have some of the highest converting talks in the industry. So I'm excited to share more with more and more people on how to structure it, because truly it's the small tweaks. It's the framework to follow. And it's overcoming the one thing that most of them are doing, which is over teaching every single time that they're speaking. It's like being doused from a fire hose and an introductory, hey, what is it that you do?
Yeah.
So we really help them fine tune that.
How long would you say it takes for someone, the average bear, to go and read through that? Maybe someone who doesn't have a lot of experience, like a beginner. What would you say to them? And I'm asking for myself because I want to get in front of some people to, to talk about my business here locally, to try and share and build a bigger client base and see how I can help and serve more people around here. I'm not the most outgoing, gregarious personality. I'm a little reserved, but once I get kind of in the zone, I really like it. How long does it take for someone to kind of break through to a point where they can notice a big difference, do you think?
So I wanna share this with you, and you probably have heard it before. You know that saying, time is money?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's because time is the most valuable commodity in the world. You can't buy it more time, right? You can just waste it or you can use it. And so the how long always depends on the amount of resources and capacity that you have. So we offer services at each level. So you can do it yourself, right? At that point, as long as you invest time, probably about a week, you can probably finish that. If you're doing it with us, then you're probably looking at just like literally grabbing those templates that we provide to clients. So you can do it like in like 3 days, pretty freely and easily. And we do offer the done for you services. So that's literally just like we have a very streamlined conversation, help you fine tune the messaging, and then we do the rest for you. That will be done in like a day or two. So the resources is a huge thing. And I've worked with people who have a lot of resources when they start speaking. And then I work with people who are just starting out and perhaps they still need to dip their toe into it and practice a little bit before they feel confident into investing at that level, right? So it could be as easy as one day. And for most people, they choose to do it by themselves for a little bit. So it takes about a week.
Yeah. Dip your toe in the pool a little bit, see how it feels. I like that.
But results come quick. I tell you, the first time I see our clients deliver presentations, they're converting. And for some of them, it's the first time anything is converting and they're getting clients from. And so we've had people launch courses and generating $300,000 within a week. We had people that was their first talk in person in the smaller room, and they got like a couple of clients from there. So I'm not even talking just coaches. People often think it's coaching services, but we have everybody. We have people who provide services, coaches, products, right? My favorite, personal favorite, not my team's favorite, but personal favorite, is those odd industries that don't believe that they can use speaking to grow their business. And I'm talking like something random like electrical company.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm a property management company and
Yeah.
real estate broker, so I couldn't be more, of left of center for that. But I see the value in it.
And I love proving those industries wrong.
Yeah.
It's like that's the thing is those industries are the easiest to capitalize on because not very many people do it. There's not very many electrical companies who do speaking to grow their business. There's not very many HVAC companies. There's not very many nurses, not very many property managers. There's really not very many people in those odd industries that are not coaching that do what we do.
That smells like opportunity to me.
You bet.
Yeah, I love that. That's so great. Well, I could be, maybe like one of your fixer-upper projects. We could start with me. I'm a little, rough around the edges, and maybe I'll check out your program and we see if you can sharpen me up and polish me and get me into action. So how about this? As far as learning, inspiration, influence, who are you listening to right now, or what are you reading or following that's shaping your mindset and your strategy with this?
I'd say my more current obsession is Jamie C for visibility. So she teaches a lot of the visibility and social media. Super enjoy her energy. Just phenomenal entrepreneur. And as a reading, I'm rereading Rejection Proof, which is the book that changed my life. And I quite literally mean that. I really stepped out into my confidence because of this book.
Well, I'll put that in the show notes and also make sure that I get a copy of that, because I love asking people these questions, because I always get like resources that I have no idea even exist. And then it's just, sometimes it's not my speed, but sometimes it really is a light bulb resource for me. So thank you for sharing that.
For sure.
Awesome. Okay. So final wisdom, we're just wrapping up here. If you could go back and do it again, you had an interesting path from start to where you are now. And would you give yourself any advice, or do you think that you had to kind of go through some of these trials and tribulations to figure out you're exactly where you need to be right now?
If I were to give an advice to my younger self, I would tell her to stop trying to be someone else to fit into more rooms. Really embrace myself, my personality, my authenticity. I just know that people would have been there. More people would have showed up for that. And I'm confident she wouldn't even believe where I am right now, which is really freaking cool. But I think she'd be so proud that I chose myself every step of the way.
That's awesome, Kat. That's the way you just kind of smiled right there. I could see that you really believe that and mean that. And that's awesome. That's why I'm here too, to have interactions like this and to learn about people like you that are inspiring and like doing big things. So I can't thank you enough for being here today. If you could just remind our listeners where they can find you, follow you, and support you, that would be great.
Again, you can just follow me on Instagram at Kat Halushka, and I'm sure it will be somewhere in the notes as well. And feel free to DM me any questions you have, or otherwise DM me the word speaker and I'll send you a workbook.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Build Better Blueprint. I'm Christian Cardamone. That's Kat Halushka, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
That's it, folks. That's our show. Thanks as always for listening. If you enjoyed today's discussion, please leave us a 5-star rating and subscribe to our channel so you are up to date with the latest episodes. Feel free to share with your friends and keep up the great work. You are on the right path. See you at the top.